I'm Fred Minnick, and I'm coming up on my 15-year anniversary of covering American whiskey. And this is what I would have done differently if I were to start all over again. Number 5, make friends. When I was first getting into American whiskey, I was really finding myself. I had just gotten home from Iraq, and I was in a new state, and so making friends was not something I wasn't necessarily looking to do. I was just trying to find myself. But as I kind of grew into who I was and who I was to become, and bourbon became a conduit for me for making friends. And some of the best friends I've ever made in my life have been through bourbon connections. And so think about that. If you are getting into bourbon for the very first time, find a group of friends on Facebook or Reddit or some kind of social media, and one day you'll be able to hang out again. But right now you can have Zoom tastings. You guys can talk back and forth about what you like about a whiskey. But friendships is really what bourbon is all about, and you can make some of the best friends of your life through this right here. Number 4, support your retailer. I tell people all the time, there are a lot of independent retailers out there that really, really need your support. There are also large-scale, big box stores that need your support. The fact is, if you support a retailer over and over and over and over again, you have a much better chance of getting an allocated product than the person who jumps from retailer to retailer to retailer. So supporting a retailer, while it's all about being good-hearted, you also usually get first crack at the allocated bourbons like Weller and Pappy Van Winkle and Four Roses limited edition bourbon. Number 3, don't focus on the proof. I remember very early on in my bourbon tasting career, I would focus on the proof and be like, woo, that Booker's, it's gonna be hot. Proof is not an indication of how hot it is on the palate. If you actually taste Booker's up against its own sister bourbon in Jim Beam, 9 times out of 10, you will find that the Booker's actually hits your palate in a much softer way than the 80 proof bourbon Jim Beam White Label. So don't focus on the proof. Look at it, however, as a guide to training your palate about how you perceive alcohol on the tongue. Number 2, history and stories do not matter. You know what matters? What's in the glass. You're gonna find out that bourbon brands love telling backstories. They'll put dates on the bottle that don't even have any relevance to the whiskey that is today. They'll buy whiskey from another distillery in another state and slap a backstory on there as if it was their own, and kind of, somehow tell everybody that it's their whiskey. None of that matters. You shouldn't get mad at that, and you shouldn't necessarily support that. Focus on what you like to taste. Don't be influenced by what marketers want to shove down your throat, because that right there will get you spending a little bit more money than you want to. So focus on what you like and not the stories. And number 1, the most important thing that I would have done differently in getting into bourbon is have fun. See, I took bourbon very seriously, and I don't think I had a lot of fun early on in my career, especially. And that's because I was just trying to tell a story, a serious story. I wasn't necessarily having fun with it. And I look back at my writing of that time, and it definitely shows. Today, almost 15 years later, I can tell you right now, I enjoy every single day that I wake up and I get the opportunity to talk about this, to interview people, and bring bourbon to people like Dominic and Sue and taste with them. So this is something that I love, and I have found the passion of my life from a professional perspective. So if you are just wanting to get in here as a taster, if you're just wanting to learn bourbon, just have fun. It doesn't matter what level of bourbon you're at. If you focus on having fun, surrounding yourself with good people, not being fooled by silly marketing, then you're gonna love bourbon. Bourbon will be with you for as long as you will allow it. So thanks everybody for tuning in. These are the 5 things that I would tell my younger self. Speaking of friends, those are my friends right there, breaking bourbon. Cheers, guys.